Hello and welcome into the first midweek recap show of the Scorers Table. Brian Haenchen, Danny Riego here with you. Danny, I'm going to try and title our brand and categorize every single show we do this season.
Okay.
Off to a great start.
First midweek live show. Is that what you said?
Yep, baby's first midweek live show of the year. Feels great, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm in. It's too much to cover. I think so. So to everybody, I got a text from Hank that was like, "There's too much to cover. There's too much to cover." I think we need to get in the studio and talk about the midweek games. So here we are talking about the midweek games.
Because we did that show Sunday. I also love the Mizzou hat, and I will match that energy. No, we had the show Sunday, and it was like stressful because there were so many good games in the opening week, like more than it felt like normal.
Yeah.
And already on Tuesday night, I'm sitting there. I decided not to go to a game because I figured the one that I was going to go to was terrible, and it turned out to be a 4-point game that was Triton Central Heritage Christian, and then Plainfield Brownsburg, the game that we're going to lead off the show with. Thought about going out to that one, but I was like, oh, that Sable guy, Josh, and that was my excuse for not driving out there. That turned out to be a banger. Just a ton of good games. So, yeah, I texted Danny, like you mentioned, and said, hey, let's just go tonight. So we'll have that. We're going to be joined by a guest tonight, Laniah Wills from Lapel, who's off to a tremendous start. And when we intro Laniah, I will go through some of the crazy numbers and some of the history that she's chasing. And, yeah, like I said, we're just going to dive into some games. So we'll get right to it. Danny, let's talk about that Plainfield-Brownsburg game. Plainfield comes back to win 60-54. I'll get the run if you don't have it when we get to breaking this thing down. Abrielle Dugan, 18 points. Hannah Menser, 12. Berkeley Williams, 12. Briley Todd, 10. Again, great win for Plainfield. And then on the Brownsburg side of things, as I shift over stats here, 20 points for Gabby Harvey, 15 for El McCullough, and then 10 for Ava Emberton, the freshman. So, Danny, I'll let you start off and just pivot off of wherever you take us.
Well, I think so. Plainfield is a fun team to cover in the seat that we sit in because we've talked about them twice in as many weeks and in as many games. And both times the lead story has been something different. It was Berkeley Williams on the defensive side against Lilli Graves against McCutcheon. And this time it's Abrielle Dugan and with the game high, would you say 18 points? Mm-hmm. And it could very easily be Menser. It could we've talked about the coaching staff and the scheme, but those are difficult teams. You find teams that can win in multiple ways. You find those teams being really tough outs because the scout doesn't, from a coaching perspective, the scout doesn't specifically send you in one direction. Like we have to take Menser away. You take Menser. Menser got her point production in this game too, but Dugan having 18, I just think it's one of those teams that's really fun to cover because you have something. They're going to give you something different every time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dugan, by the way, wasn't expecting to be ready for the start of the season. To get her back and to get her performing at this level right away is massive coming out of the gates.
And she had and if you look at her scoring too, like the 18, sometimes that's like a volume thing. Like she had big time shots when it mattered too. I think in the third quarter when Plainfield was going on one of their big runs, I think Menser had 5, and then I think Dugan had a 5-0 run to kind of cap off a 10-point run that they had, which kind of stretched that game out in the third quarter. And it was her 3 that forced Sable to call timeout and really kind of changed the momentum of that game. So it's also not the amount of scoring. It's also when Dugan scored in this last basketball game, which I think is a very good sign because I think it's very natural for people like us to just assume that it's going to be Berkeley or assume that it's going to be Menser. But if they have kids that are going to take and make big shots, they are trouble. They're going to be a problem.
That game was tied at 25 at the half. Plainfield led by a point at going into the fourth quarter. And I want to say, Danny, didn't Brownsburg have the lead, take the lead late, or at some point there in the fourth, and then Plainfield found a way to come back?
They did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think there was I think there was a technical foul that kind of turned some things also kind of late. Next time we have Josh on, we'll have to ask him about that. I didn't, sometimes when you watch these streams, you don't get the full context. So I don't really know what that was, but it definitely was a turning point in the game.
What did you think of where these teams are at this point in the season? We talked a little bit about Plainfield. I think that they're, expectedly ahead of the curve for what a team is usually at the beginning. There were so many pieces they have back. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on them. And then Brownsburg, I haven't had a chance to see them yet, but they obviously graduated Avery Gordon, bring back El McCullough, and some other pieces, and just where you assess where they're at this point of the year.
At this point, look, Elle McCullough is a candidate to be an Indiana All-Star. She's really good. Everybody knows that. She's the top line of the scouting report. Everybody's scouting reports, okay? But if you really watch that basketball game, I think there's three players that stood out, not named Elle McCullough. The first is the point guard. Ava Emberton is her name. Little point guard. But what she does schematically for Josh, I think provides him the opportunity to place another primary ball handler on the floor so he can run some of his floppy action, some of his off-ball stuff for McCullough. And she's plenty capable too. Like there was a stretch in that game where she was the catalyst, I think, of what ended up being, I think, an 8-0 run. She hit like a 1-2 step pull up in transition. She capped it off a couple of possessions later with a 3. But if she becomes a formidable piece at the point guard spot, I think that's going to make Elle McCullough a little bit bigger or a little bit more effective. Gabby Harvey having the game, look, they have to have it, right? They have to have point production. You have to replace the production of Avery Gordon somehow. And Gabby Harvey looks like she's going to be that person. But the third and the most notable for me is Naomi Onyide. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Naomi is just what everybody calls her. When watching that basketball game, she doesn't come into the game until 3 minutes left in the first half. And she comes in and immediately blocks or changes 3 shots, like immediately. She was getting offensive rebounds. She was getting extra possessions. She moves very well. She's very different from a post perspective, obviously, than Avery Gordon. But that athleticism might match the scheme that Josh wants to play. And I think Naomi, you're going to see her play more and more throughout the year. But to have a kid that is that young at that particular position to not come into the basketball game against Plainfield until 3 minutes left in the first half and immediately make an impact, I think is a very good sign for Josh and Brownsburg.
Impressive. That's really impressive. So Brownsburg falls short there. They're 1-1 on the season. They play next Saturday against Ben Davis. Plainfield on the other side, 2-0 now with 2 really high-quality wins against McCutcheon and against Brownsburg. They host Danville on Friday at Ben Davis. Their next big test is going to come up at Sneakers for Santa here next weekend against Homestead in that 8 p.m. game. That's going to be one hell of a game. And we'll get a closer look and talk a little bit more about Homestead this weekend after they play Pike. A great test there as well. Danny, let's shift down a class. Let's talk about Heritage Christian, Triton Central. That was a game that I was going to go to on Tuesday. 63-59 win for the Eagles of Heritage Christian. That's potential sectional game, I think. Either way, big performance from Mary Rose Felling for Triton Central. She finishes with 25 points. Quinn King adds 16. Kate Collier adds 10 for Triton Central, a team that lost some pieces from over the offseason. They aren't the biggest team in the world, but they're quick and athletic. Also should mention Quinn King with 9 assists, 7 rebounds, 3 steals. So really nice showing there from the junior. What did you take away from that one after screening it?
Felling looks great. And again, we're going to measure Triton Central's success on, matchups in the postseason. You had foreshadowed Heritage Christian. I talked a couple of episodes ago about a potential matchup against Eastern Hancock and Kenzie Koch. But look, Felling is somebody who everybody knows, but maybe not everybody has seen with the volume that they maybe need to. I think she's already broken the all-time scoring record at Triton Central. She's got to be approaching some county records. She's got to be approaching stuff, but she just moves with such confidence. And she's one of those kids that's like, Felling's still in school. It's amazing that she's still in school.
Right.
I feel like we've been talking about her a ton. But she looks like somebody that's been in high school for 4 years, like all 4 years, and played major varsity basketball for all 4 years. Again, it almost, I hate to say this because I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying anything about the Heritage Christian defense. It looked easy for her.
She's just that good.
It just looked effortless, on some level. So, there's going to be times I think late where Felling is just going to have to, she's just going to have to play hero ball a little bit, and And then on the other side, I mean, from a coaching perspective, I mean, you've got to get some point. We talked about like Gabby Harvey for Brownsburg, for example, right? I mean, I think if you ask Josh and the Brownsburg people, I think they would have suspected that Gabby Harvey was going to provide them some from point production. But not until you get into the games and see it and do it, can you really count on that. And look, Triton, it's going to come down to it. Like they're going to have to get some secondary scoring and some secondary actions, I think, for somebody other than Felling. Otherwise, people are just going to load up, as they always have. That's not new to Triton Central, but they're going to load up.
And that's going to be the key, because Eastern Hancock has that secondary scoring with Kenzie Koch. I think Heritage Christian, it's going to be interesting to see how that develops, but they seem to have a good in and out balance there with Riley Johnson, and the other girl's name's escaping me right now.
Trinity Taylor, right?
Yeah,
she's the
Taylor.
one that grabs like 100 rebounds.
Okay, go ahead. No, I was just going to say Trinity is built like a true post player. That kid, I saw her at state soccer a couple weekends ago. I mean, she is big and she is strong right there. I apologize for cutting you off, Danny. Go ahead.
No, and she attacks the basketball. She really, rebounding is a lot of effort for sure. And, everybody from the stands just box out. Look, sometimes position isn't enough, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes you just have to attack the basketball with two hands. She's going to, I mean, I don't think this is a hot take here. Because she probably did last year. She's going to lead the area. She's going to lead your coverage area in rebounds. Like she just does. But there is a name that's not Riley Johnson and not Trinity Taylor that I want to point out. Her name is Kiana Melanson. So she moved here from Cy-Fair, Texas, for those of the people that are, summer basketball fans. Cy-Fair, Texas isn't a city. It's like a culture. But yeah, she did play in that club. But late in that basketball game, they were down 1, and Jessica needed a bucket, and that's who they went to. They didn't go to Riley Johnson and
Interesting.
They didn't go to Trinity Taylor on the block. They went to Melanson. He missed. Trinity Taylor, newsflash, got an offensive rebound, kicked it out, and Melanson hit the 3. Like that is, look, here, this kid just got here. Okay. Like it's winter. Like she doesn't probably even know how to navigate cold weather. And now she's taking and making shots for Heritage Christian, a storied program in the area. Let's keep an eye on that, because we saw what Riley Johnson was able to do with kids like Jocelyn Marshall on the other wing. Mm-hmm. But they didn't just graduate like Marshall and then all of a sudden the cupboard is bare. Like, to get Melanson to move in, it does provide him another opportunity. She's going to get more comfortable as the season progresses. But it was the first time I really got to see her play live. It's a lot. Most people probably listening to this pod probably haven't seen her play live. It was my first time as well. And I was impressed. She's pretty good. Like that kid's going to do some good things for Heritage Christian.
That's exciting. And that sectional is fun. And it's got a lot of star power. We mentioned Mary Rose, mentioned Kenzie Koch, mentioned Bella Sotelo, mentioned the Heritage Christian girls. It's going to be really fun sectional to cover. Heritage Christian goes at Eastbrook. They were there tonight. Then on the 15th, that's Saturday, they pay Pendleton Heights before hosting Rebuff to start off next week. Triton Central, on the other hand, they had Greenwood Christian tonight. And then, Danny, they get right into it with Eastern Hancock on Saturday, a sectional tournament game preview there potentially, and then Monrovia next week. It's about there. Monrovia has a kid who's been scoring at just a ridiculous clip of late. Zoe Walls, I believe, is her name. So that'll be an interesting game over there. Let's keep it down in Class 2A, a game that you had a chance to screen, one that I have not, but was texting with Soak with a little bit. That's Washington South Knox. Washington comes away with a 52-41 win. This is another game from Tuesday night. 4 finish in double figures for Washington. Katie Reed with 19, Kara Shuckman, Ella Williams with 10 and 11 respectively, and then Shay Hawk with 12 points. Danny, what'd you make after watching that one?
Well, let me qualify everything that I'm about to say about Washington with the fact that London Gilly, who's one of the better players in the 27 class, didn't play. She is medically released, and I think she's going to make her debut. I believe she's going to make her debut at the Cordon Central events, which is loaded. That's the one with like Borden.
Tucker's battle
one of the Knox schools. Yeah, it's really, really, really good. Here was my take home on Washington. Okay. That was a big time win at South Knox. Okay. Katie Reed looked awesome. Okay. And I mean, awesome. She was my sample size is pretty big and seeing Katie play basketball, but what she was scoring and showing activity in a lot more ways than maybe we are accustomed to seeing. Like, she's really good at like that slot 3 if the defense sags, but she was driving, she was running the floor into offensive rebounds, but she was doing something that, and I have talked about comparisons to Katie Reed and kids like Julianne Woodard a lot, okay? But Katie Reed's best attribute is not her ability to shoot the 3, and it's not her ability to rebound. It's not her ability to throw out. It's her passing ability. And when South Knox, because they were giving up some size and they were throwing people at her like Madison Parrish, these are really experienced defenders. But when you double, like she was throwing like one-handed strikes to like Shayhawk on the perimeter for 3. She was catching like divers, like if you doubled her on the wing and people would dive to the basket, she would find them. Shayhawk is a tremendous player in the backcourt that can do a lot of different things, but Katie Reed might lead that team in assists this year. And I think that's a really big weapon. And I saw it probably more so in this singular basketball game against South Knox than maybe I have throughout the year last year. But Washington, who was Kyle Soakland's number 1 team in 3A down there, they did nothing to, I'm sure, back him off that opinion, because they beat South Knox, the defending 2A state champs, at their place with kids like Kendall Hill playing the whole game, and they were impressive.
And not for nothing, too, a bounce-back performance there by the Hatchets, who opened the year with an overtime loss against North Knox. And it's always interesting to see, especially early in the season, how does a team respond to kind of a gut punch type of loss, not to overstate the importance of a game on November 7th, but you kind of learn a little bit and see where your team stands by how they respond to adversity like that. In Washington, that's what Soak and I were texting about, is just, they responded in a really, really impressive fashion. They really answered the bell on that side. Danny, how did South Knox? Go ahead.
So before you do that, though, I don't think it is overstatement. Because South Knox, if you remember, 365 days prior, went into the Hatchet House last year and won in, I think they got like those 5 or 6 threes from Grace Detweiler, and it just kind of springboarded them through. Sometimes these early wins can springboard you through the schedule and get you to believing that you are one of the better basketball teams in the area or in the class or in the states or whatever the metric is. But I don't think that's overstatement at all. I think this was a big win. And I was very anxious not to necessarily see what South Knox was going to do because they have the championship pedigree, but I was more curious as to what Washington was going to do. And I think they responded. From a South Knox perspective, it was fun for me to see Kendall Hill play with such an offensive mind. This is a kid who we saw play an entire basketball season last year for South Knox en route to the state championship with just doing whatever her team needed to do to win. She's always had the reputation of like, she's going to make all of her teammates better. She's going to make Holly look good. She's going to bring the scheme to life. She's going to be the extension of the coach's voice on the floor. All of those things still remain true. But this kid got volume, like very aggressive in regards to her offense. Now, it wasn't her greatest point production night. She will be the first to tell you that. And you can tell by the way she was reacting. Like she missed open threes. She missed open shots. But that's a Kendall Hill. That's a rendition of Kendall Hill that I think we all need to get used to, because if she does get it going in a night, South Knox probably hasn't had a 35-point scorer like through their state championship run, maybe even a 30-point scorer. They're going to have them they're going to have one this year. Like Kendall's going to go out. She's going to get 30 multiple times this year because she's so aggressive. So that is the big thing that jumps out. Grace Detweiler, I had mentioned her before. Like, look, you look up and she's guarding Courtney Matthew in the state championship. You look up and she's guarding Shay Hawk in this game. Like she's going to be kind of that glue kid for them. And those are 2 kids who played big roles in their state championship run last year. So let's not sleep on South Knox.
Absolutely. Absolutely. South Knox also, I believe, is part of this Cluckers battle at the First Capital, the Corden Central tournament. They take on New Albany. Washington takes on Borden. Like we mentioned earlier, that is going to be a phenomenal match against the Class A state champions. You also have Northview, Evansville Central, Castle, Corden Central, just on night 1. And then it goes in consolation semifinals, all that. So that's one heck of a bracket. And there's some really good tournaments here coming up. We're kind of on like the precipice. This is a nice little appetizer for peace season on the girls basketball scene.
We haven't even started. We didn't even start the podcast until like Sneakers for Santa the last couple of years too. So I think we're a little bit ahead. I don't think we got to like tease these tournaments.
We did. I think our debut season we started with Sneakers for Santa. It was you, me, and Sable in a conference room at IndyStar, huddled around my recorder, just chopping it up, and then. Now look at us. Now we're taping full episodes and all that stuff. Somebody in the chat asking about Bloomington, South Gibson, Southern. That's definitely on the list. Absolutely want to talk on that one. We'll save that one for after the Laniah interview here. But Danny, the game that I was at tonight, Mount Vernon, Roncalli, really interesting game. Just kind of big picture takeaways. Mount Vernon is young. Julie Shelton talking to her after the game. She said she didn't realize how much you're losing her two seniors who averaged, I think, a point and a half. Respectively last season, just how much that would impact things in terms of just the toughness that they need to play with defensively and the leadership. And that's something that's going to have to come with time. It's not a bad thing. It just is going to come with time. And that's kind of what defined tonight was that it was kind of one of those games where a very veteran Roncalli team going against a Mount Vernon team that has a lot of talent, but is still kind of learning and finding its way and played well in spurts. And that's kind of what you got there. Kendra Ash looked really good for Mount Vernon. She bounced back from a couple bit of rockier performances, I think, to start the season. She looked really good. She was a factor on both ends of the floor once she got going. So that was a big positive there for Mount Vernon. On the Roncalli side, Brenna Cerny did her thing defensively against Zoe Wood.
Of course.
That was her assignment the entire night, and she guarded the bejesus out of her as she's wont to do. Brenna Cerny, I should take down the score. Jeez Louise. Really impressive showing by Brenna Cerny. I mean, she does such a good job of staying in front of those players. And then once that kid gets going, I was talking to Jason Sims afterwards. It's like she needs a couple games to find her stroke offensively. And tonight took her a couple missed threes. Then she got one going to the basket, canned another three, and just kind of took off offensively. So she's going to be fun to watch. And then Elliot Leffler came out firing. Hit a three-pointer right off the jump, hit another one a couple minutes later, had a three-point play. I think she might have had a four-point play mixed in there too. She looked really solid. That kid's development from her freshman year just continues to impress. And again, she looked really good defensively as well. I think her legs kind of gave out a little bit towards the end because she played darn near the whole game, but really impressive performance from Elliot. And then one other thing with the Royals is that they run deep, Danny. They're running 4 deep off the bench already, and they're still without Lydia Staley and Reagan Turk, who will be back next Thursday. Because they just finished winning a state championship with the volleyball team. So once they get them back, Staley brings the size at 6'2", and Reagan Turk is just a freakish athlete. So Roncalli looks really good. They're going to get better. And yeah, I mean, they're going to live and die a little bit, I think, with the 3-ball. And when it's falling with the way that they defend, I mean, it's going to be lights out really quick for a lot of teams when Roncalli is shooting the ball well.
Yeah. Let me spin back to Mount Vernon, and then I'll punctuate with some thoughts on Roncalli. I think there's a lot to like about Mount Vernon this year, like a lot. I went to go see them play live. I saw their opener against Whiteland. A lot has happened since then. I think they've dropped a couple of games since then, so I don't want to go too hyperbolic on my opinions on the Whiteland game, but I remember texting him and been like, there's a lot to like about this team. You mentioned Kendra Ash. The obvious is that she provides height. Okay. That's the obvious piece. This is a transfer from Fishers and figured into the varsity rotation at Fishers, which is a major school. And that was a big get for them. But here's the one thing that I noticed. She played the back line of Julie Shelton's zone, and she was quarterbacking. Like on night 1, she was just telling everybody where to go. She provides some athleticism there. She provides some rim protection. She can rebound the basketball there. I think it's just sometimes when you have security like that behind you, sometimes it just makes the perimeter defenders just a little bit more risk taking or a little bit more effective, a little quicker to the basketball because they can get beat because you have some help behind them. But that backcourt, man, like Zoe Wood, Delaney, and Gabby Thomas, like if they can figure out how to properly distribute point production and volume throughout those 3 players and get good looks for all 3 players, there really is, man. There really is a lot to like about Mount Vernon, and I think Julie, and I think that first night she became the 41st coach in Indiana high school girls basketball history to win 400 games. which is a feat in and of itself. But she's got a squad this year, man. Like, I don't think this is going to be like death taxes. It's just Julie Shelton. Like, if they win sectionals, it's going to be because they have a ton of talent. And so Julie's got to get it to fit together. Yeah. Thoughts on that before I go punctuate Roncalli?
Yeah, too. I think too with Mount Vernon, it's gonna be really fascinating to see how quickly it comes along. Like that toughness part, the leadership part, because like you said, the pieces are there, the talent's there. Now it's just kind of like the mental needs to come and meet the physical. So that's gonna be really interesting to see. Sorry, there was more to that point. But yeah, go ahead with Roncalli.
Yeah, so Elliot Leffler. You mentioned Leffler, and I always talked about Cerny's toughness, and and you're right. I think we should reserve a ton of the analysis for when the volleyball players get back, particularly like Staley does what like Ash does for Mount Vernon. Like it's just such athleticism and quarterbacking and experience. But Leffler, with the graduation of each senior class, so the graduation of the senior class after her freshman year, and then the graduation of the senior class after her sophomore season, the team becomes offensively just more hers every single year, if that makes sense. Like there's almost like a thought of deference, I think, maybe to that. But that kid has always had just a really good ability to score the ball in different ways. And so I think Elliot Leffler will have one of those seasons where, look, I think she could very easily have a 400 point season. I just think she's going to get so much opportunity. I think the coaching staff will allow her to. I think the teammates will allow her to, and her skill level will allow her to also. But she's just getting more and more comfortable. So that'll be an exciting watch, kind of spinning forward, just to kind of talk about Roncalli a little bit. Yeah,
I'm really excited to see where both those teams go. Roncalli has Center Grove here in a couple weeks. That's going to be a fascinating matchup, just to see how they match up and how they handle Gilliard specifically. I'm curious to see how that matches up. Like, I would imagine it'd be Cerny with some help just based on the size discrepancy between the two, but who knows? Brenna's deceptively strong, so that'll be fun to watch. Danny, have you had a chance to watch Hamilton Heights yet? I'm going to see them here against Lapel on Tuesday, I think. Have you had a chance to see them in person or online yet?
I am going to see them live at Noblesville tomorrow, and I can't wait. Like, they played Frankton. I mean, I can't remember. They had a game. They were supposed to play somebody. They're supposed to play Danville, right? And maybe Danville.
Oh, yeah, they had to move it back because of.
That's what it was.
Their volleyball team.
I was actually supposed to go to. I was actually supposed to go to that game. That Frankton game. I think it was like 25-2 at the end of the first quarter, and 23 of the 25 points were scored by freshmen. Like, I can't wait to see it. Like, I cannot wait to see it. Like, I talked about Addison Bloom hitting threes, and there's clips all over my social media feed about her hitting threes, but she was like the third highest point producer in that freshman class, like in that first Frankton game. Like, I think Riley Suarez, who is the the name that will dance around the top of like the rankings and things like that. I think she had like a team high 19. And then Bailey Isley, who's a nice little point guard, little lefty, just been playing high level basketball forever. Really good continuity. Zoe Curry, who Carmel let out of their system and ended up at Hamilton Heights. Like, she does provide some size. She does provide some experience for them because she's also been playing some really good basketball, but she can make shots too. Like, I think when I'm going to see when I see Hamilton Heights is I think I'm just going to see a bunch of kids like almost kind of like playing AAU ball, like just passing it up the floor and shooting the first good one that they get. And they're talented. They're going to, so anyways, we'll reserve kind of deeper thoughts on scheme that Aaron's running and individual pieces. But I'm excited to see him at Noblesville tomorrow.
That'll be a really fun one. The Noblesville game. I'll talk about the military in just a second, and then, like I said, Lapel next week. Hamilton Heights. That's going to be a really, really interesting game with some of the individual matchups there in that one. Speaking of Noblesville, they picked up another impressive win. This one over Bishop Chatard. 31 points for Allie Hutchinson. She had 5 3-pointers. Cece Quigley followed up with another big performance. She put up 21 points, and then 12 points for Maia Blower. 20 points for Bradley Morelli for Bishop Chatard, 11 for Alex Kendall. If Noblesville can get, 31's probably asking a lot per game from Allie Hutchinson, but if they can get her scoring and shooting the ball at a steady clip, that team looks really dangerous when you pair her with Cece Quigley, who's an established talent on the inside on the post. She's really good. And then Maia Blower, who was on the radar a little bit. She had some massive shoes to fill, obviously a point guard, but is a rising standout in that program. Noblesville looks dangerous if the pieces keep firing the way that they are.
I love your take. I think it's such a smart comment and it bears worth repeating. This is Maia Blower's first season where she comes in as Maia Blower, not comes in as Maia Blower, the kid that has to replace Reagan Wilson. This kid's good. She's good. And I think in a vacuum, without Reagan Wilson playing that position for that school prior with the success that she had, I think we would talk about Maia more. But as is right now, I think Maia is poised for a breakout season. Look, Hutchinson has been in school forever and playing major basketball. I mean, she played with Reagan. She played with Tipner. I mean, those kids are grown and gone, okay? Quigley's back. Quigley looks great. She just signed her Division I letter of intent. But Blower's the kid to me. Blower is the kid. I mean, I was watching a game one time and I admitted, okay, and don't be mad at me, Maia, but I had to be reminded who's that again? Not this year. Okay. I know exactly who she is. When I walk into the mill tomorrow, I will know exactly who Bailey Isley is going to have her hands full with. And it'll be fun to watch because I think there's the experience of Hutchinson and Quigley and also Blower. Mm-hmm. I think against the Hamilton Heights youth, also the secondary storyline of Aaron Trimpe being on Donna's staff. What, are they just going to run each other's system at each other? That's going to be crazy. So I'm talking about this so much it's like the Super Bowl, but I'm really excited.
It's going to be an interesting game for real. It is. Because this isn't like the Hamilton Heights Noblesville of the past couple of years when Heights has been rebuilding and Noblesville's been kind of rolling. This is an important game and kind of not a statement game, but a mile marker or height ticker. I can't think of the word. Type of game for both of them. A mile marker is the word that I'm looking for. Real quickly too, Cece Quigley back-to-back 20-point performances like this. Coming into this year, this kind of felt like her season and her team, and she's delivered so far with 44 points. She's shooting the ball remarkably well, as expected for a player playing in the post at 6'2", as she is. But to do that while also pulling in the rebounds at a steady clip, double-double against Avon in the opener is impressive.
I have a question for you. Okay. Who do you think that game is more important to? Hamilton Heights and Aaron Trimpe?
Noblesville.
Donna Buck, you think it's more important for Noblesville?
I think so.
Get beat by the kids in their place.
No, I don't. And I think it's just, I just, that's my gut reaction because it feels like Hamilton Heights, even if they lose, it's kind of like, oh, they're young, they're developing, it's going to come along. Noblesville on the other side is like you're old. You don't want to lose that game necessarily, and that's not a knock inside the team. Would you have gone the other way, or were you going to also say Noblesville?
I think you can make the argument the other side. And the argument for the other side for it being Heights is these are long tooth freshmen. Okay. This is not like, there's a bunch of 8th graders who are just went out for the basketball team and these kids have been playing. They have known that they were going to be the starting 5 at Hamilton Heights forever. And it's now come to fruition, and I think they have an opportunity to validate it. Now, if they lose to Noblesville, I think you're probably right. I think we'll be like, well, they're freshmen, welcome to the mill. It's a lot harder at varsity basketball. And we'll say all of those things.
I already got the story written just in case. I have the other one written too, Aaron.
But what if they win? What if they become one of the biggest stories in Hamilton County? They become one of the bigger stories in Hamilton County if they go into the mill and beat a team with multiple collegiate athletes and state championships, state championship pedigree and all of that.
That would be wild. I'm really excited for that game, and I'm looking forward to your report, Danny. But our guest is ready, Laniah Wills. So I'm going to lead in, Danny, with this. She was state runner-up as a freshman, got back to semi-state as a sophomore, lost in sectional last year, 1,808 career points, so she's going to score 2,000. 1,122 career rebounds. And in talking with Newbie, he believes that the girls' record for rebounds is 1,336. She's an Indiana All-Star. I mean, just the numbers are absurd. She's a great kid. She's going to Butler. Signed her national letter of intent yesterday. That's Laniah Wills. And Danny, that's who we have right here joining us on the show. What's up, Laniah?
Hey.
What's going on, Laniah?
What's going on?
How you feeling, kid?
Feeling great. How are you guys?
Good. How's the start of the season? Let's just start broadly. How are you feeling a few games into the season?
I'm feeling really good. It's been a real great start to the year, 4-0. And last year's season, we didn't start like that. So this is really good for us for when we get to the stretch because we're feeling like really good about ourselves and feeling really confident.
What's been different about the start this year compared to last year? Because it's largely the same group coming back. So is it just as simple as everybody's a year older and a year more experience?
I feel like definitely for the juniors now, because they were sophomores last year, like they've had more experience along with like our team dynamic has gotten way better. Like we're just such a close team and our relationship with each other just so good and we're all on the same page. Like we all want to make it, we want to make a run. All of us are on the same page and that's like the biggest thing for a team to go far. Like you all have to be on the same page.
I got one more that I missed when I led you in, and then I'll throw it over to Danny. Laniah's debut, 44 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals, a block, shot 76%, 19 of 25 from the field with a couple of threes on 3 tries. That's pretty good, Laniah. Where does that rank for you personally in terms of your performances?
Honestly, during the game, I didn't even know I was doing that good because I only had like 7 points in the first quarter, but it felt nice because I haven't played basketball in 4 months, and that was my first game back since June. And I was hungry. I was like, okay, let's see if I still got it, and I think I still got it. So, yeah.
Take it away, Danny.
Laniah, it's really good to see you back on the floor. It was a long 4 months without you.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday, was it yesterday you signed your letter of intent? I kind of want I want to ask about the Butler thing, and we had the opportunity. Why Butler? Why the timing? And then just a follow-up question. I'm just going to let you talk for a while too. I mean, is there somebody on that roster that you're like, I can't wait to play with that kid? Just talk about that and congratulations, but I'm anxious to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so why Butler? Basically, my biggest thing for when I will commit is a school that has a really good like family dynamic type of thing. Because I honestly wanted to get out of Indiana. I was like, okay, I want to get out of Indiana. I want to travel. I want to try something new. But meeting like the Butler staff, because I've been like talking to them since like my freshman year. Like I've been getting to know them and stuff. But once I got to meet all the other coaches along with the players, I was like, wow, like I really love this. Like I really enjoy all of this. Like it's close to home. It's oh, my baby brother. Anyways, it's close to home. I loved all the coaches. So really that was just like a big thing that I looked at and that was already great. So then my timing, I was like, I don't have a reason to wait very, very long. Like if I know this is my ideal school, like what am I waiting for? Like it was God's timing. Like he knew when everything was gonna fall in place and happen. And then I committed. And then thank God I committed. Cause then I got hurt. And what if I got hurt and they didn't want me anymore? But thank God it wasn't a bad injury. But yeah. And honestly, I can't wait to play with Addie because I played against her in the All-Star game. She was on the senior team, and she was just really good. And I also really can't wait to play with the twins, Maia and Sanaya, because watching them is so fun. And like we're kind of like the same buildish, kind of. So like I like watching them to try to get a glimpse of like possibly like what, like not saying I'm gonna be in the same exact position as them, But just like to watch them, they're really good. So yeah.
So Laniah, and so I suspected that you would say Addie, and I don't know
Mm.
how you could be a basketball player and not want to play with that kid. Like she just makes her
Yeah.
teammates better. She passes the basketball. She's an extraordinary talent. She's a great kid.
Hmm.
Is there like when you would go on visits, like would she recruit you? Would the players recruit you as much as like Austin and Holly and all of them? And like were you kind of getting pulled by them to Butler?
So my like first visit, I didn't even see any of the players in person. Like I went to a practice and obviously I like, talked to them, blah blah blah. But I didn't really get to like spend a lot of time alone with them. But then like before my official visit, Addie, I saw her at the All-Star game and stuff, and she was talking to me. And this was after I committed, but she was talking to me, telling me how much she loves it and how good of a school it was. And then at the official visit, like her and the twins were like are like chaperones. Like they were with us the whole time talking. We sat at the same table as them, me, Lexi, and Jocelyn. We sat at the same table with them. They were just telling us what they like about the school and basically just talking about their experience there. And honestly, like I didn't hear any negative comments from it. I was like, wow, because sometimes like when you talk to a player, you really get like the inside spill, and they really had like nothing bad to say.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I forgot about Joss too.
Yeah.
So you're probably
Wow,
following
Danny.
Warsaw a little bit now too. Then following her
Hmm.
game. Yep. Yeah.
So now that
Yes.
once you committed, Lanai, is it basically just like you spend a lot like time with Jocelyn, like getting to know each other a lot, and then like just are you around her a lot? And then part two of that question is, are you around the college kids at all, like staying in touch and
Mhm.
texting with them now, like you are part of the team already?
Yeah. So basically, obviously we all signed yesterday, and I went to the Butler game after I signed. So and like a lot of Lapel people were there, and I got announced on the jumbotron. It was
No.
so nerve wracking. But I went out there, and all the girls, like even though they were in their timeout, they were like, "Let's go, Laniah." I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet," because like they're literally in the middle of a game, but they're still cheering for me. And then also me, Jocelyn, Lexi, and our teammate from Australia, Olivia, we're on this group chat, and we were just texting in the group chat. And since she's from Australia, it was like 7 o'clock at night here, and it was like 11 a.m. for her. So she was up and she already graduated, which is also crazy. And then we were just talking about how when we live together, like we're gonna take her to Target, take her to Chipotle, like let her try a lot of different new things. She said she's gonna bring us some Australian snacks and stuff. So we already are have like we were talking about I can cook. I'm gonna be the cook for when we share our when we live together. Lexi says she's gonna get us a snack bar. It's gonna be really fun. Like I'm already enjoying it, and I'm not even like with them yet.
Is that who you're living with? You're living with all four of them?
Yes, yes, could be me,
Oh my
Lexi,
God.
Jocelyn, and Olivia.
Make good
That's
choices,
awesome.
Lanai. Okay, make good choices.
I will.
Lanai, let's talk about the injury. Just what was it specifically, and what kind of triggered the injury that kept you out this summer?
Okay, so basically, I've always had kind of knee problems, but I never really paid attention to it. And I played basketball, like I played sports year round. Like it was no breaks for me. Fall volleyball, winter basketball, spring basketball, summer basketball. Like it was just nonstop. So basically, my junior year, I would fall on my knees a lot and it would hurt, but I would be like, okay, ice it, whatever. So our first day of June ball, not even our first day, it was like I practiced for a few days and then we had our first game. I went to our tournament. I played the first game versus Richmond. And then the second game, I didn't wear my knee pads because I was like, oh, it's a summer game. I'm not gonna need my knee pads. Yeah. Um, it was a loose ball. We were playing Marquette Catholic. I'm pretty sure, yeah, with like Laniah Davis and all them. But it was a loose ball. I dove on it, fell like right on my knee. But I always fall on my knee, so I didn't think nothing of it. So then I got up to try to sprint, and it was just like a pop. Like I was like, it was like a weird pop feeling. I'm like, this is weird. So then I tried to run again, and I like couldn't put any weight on it. And then I had to like crawl off the court. I couldn't bend it. I couldn't straighten it. And honestly, I didn't really think nothing of it. But then I went to the first orthopedic place, and then they were saying like something with my ACL, and I was like, that literally just sent me into like a depression state. Like I laid in bed every day. Like I couldn't even go to practice. Just laid icing and elevating because I was just like ACL. Like you have to be kidding me. But then I was also thinking like it can't be. I was just praying, and then I went to another doctor that Menser recommended me. Shout out to Menser. And I got my MRI, and basically they just said it was a PCL tear, but only a grade 1, which isn't bad. So basically it's torn, but it's still intact. And my doctor, Dr. Klutwig, I think, he's really, really good. He helped me a lot. And then I did PT for like 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. And then I graduated PT. And then, like, soon as I graduated PT, I got back into the gym. Slowly, but I got back in the gym. Started working out, lifting, training with my trainer, Coach Jared. So that was that. And now I wear my knee pads and my brace. So, yeah.
And we talked about this in media day too, but then you made the decision to continue volleyball to finish out your career in the fall too. Just what went into the decision there and deciding to play volleyball? Because I mean that's risk and not something that you necessarily had to do.
Yeah. So really, even though volleyball wasn't my number one, never was my number one, it was just cool to find something else that I really enjoyed and I just happened to be good at. Like I've been playing volleyball since 6th grade. And for me to not do any volleyball over like outside of the season, I was pretty good. And it was like, it's my senior year. Like I want to try to get every experience I can. And my volleyball coach, she really supported that. Like she was like, who cares about volleyball? Like you're here for basketball. Like basketball is your thing. She's like, if you don't want to play, you don't have to. I'll support you. She was like, if you want to be a manager, even, she was like, that's fine. She was like, even if you don't even want to play till like sectionals, like I support you in any way. So I was like, okay. So I started off slow. Like I went to practice, but I would only like jump sometimes. Like I want to do the sprints because we had to do conditioning, obviously, but she would make me jump like 50%, even though I wasn't really going 50%. And then like I'll go a little bit and then she'll like sub me out and then I'll come back in. And then gradually, like it just kind of also helped getting my knee back in its like old ways, old movements, strengthening up. Like even my PT was like, it's good to do volleyball because it's kind of getting you back in the swing of things. So I started doing it slowly and then it just got to the point where it didn't hurt anymore. Here and there it did, obviously. But when it did, she would literally sit me out for a week and not let me do anything. But she was definitely a big part of why I played too. Cause it's like to have a supportive coach in another sport you play, like you don't get a lot of coaches like that. But yeah.
That is cool. And a run to the sectional championship match, a 5-setter loss to Sheridan, heartbreaking, but 280, almost 300 kills for you. So that's a pretty dang good way to come out.
Yeah.
So for your team, I'll ask this one broad question about the team. Who've been some of the kids that have been jumping out to you now 4 games into the year?
Who's been what? Sorry, repeat.
Who's been standing out to you so far?
Okay.
Of your team.
I definitely have to say Layla, our point guard, her like tremendous like improvement from last year to this year is crazy. Like it might not seem like it to other people, but I see like how much she has improved, like her IQ, her passes, like she will throw the most passes. Like I don't even think she'll be able to see me and then she'll pass me. I'm like, oh, okay. Good look, but I think she's improved a lot and she's worked really hard. And another player is also Addie. Addie, she doesn't give herself any credit, but that girl, she's really a good role player. Like she can shoot if you need her to get a little shot in. Her passes to me also are very crazy. And even though she's one of the shortest on her team, she works hard down there playing against those big girls because I'm the tallest person on the team and she's the next tallest. But those are the 2 people that really have improved a lot and stand out to me.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Laniah, thank you so much for hopping on with us. I'll probably be seeing you guys next week, and you play Hamilton Heights.
Yep.
Best of luck to you guys moving forward, and congratulations again on everything so far.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. Bye.
Laniah Wills, Lapel senior Butler commit, joining us here on the show. Danny, I'll let you do the quick interview wrap before we move on.
See, I'm going to be pretty simple with this one. I'm just happy that she's back, and I'm happy that it's not a serious injury. Like, I mean, obviously most people that listen to this pod know that I coach in the summer, and it just sucked. But to see her sign her letter of intent yesterday, to see her have already a 40 burger and a triple double already this year, and to see that she's got Zach still with her. I mean, it's like the rightful punctuation to what has been an amazing career. So we don't have to look very far to follow her collegiate arc.
I'm really curious to see where she comes in with the Miss Basketball conversation, especially if they go on a deep tournament run, which is likely. Like, Gamebridge is within reach, and then when you parse out the potential matchups down the line for Lapel, that's a realistic goal for that group, just with what Laniah does and the development of the young pieces around her. That was a really young team that lost in sectional last year. But she has the state championship run as a freshman, came back as a sophomore, got them to semi-state, carried them last year with a very young, kind of rebuilding sort of team in that weird, awkward kind of purgatory, so to speak, between a full-on rebuild and some pieces. And now, like we said, we mentioned the number. She's going to be a 2,000-point scorer. She's going to challenge what we think is the state rebounding record. So she's going to have a lot of numbers, and it's the postseason success to me, I think, is really important when it comes to gauging Miss Basketball, and especially when you're coming from some of those lower classes like she is in 2A. But newbie schedule is difficult. He builds a tough schedule, so she's going to be tested against the competition, get a lot of exposure. So I'm really curious to see how her case develops and evolves. But to me, she should be a shoo-in for Indiana All-Stars at the very least.
Yeah, I think she's gonna. I think she's got a really solid candidacy to be an Indiana All-Star. Her Miss Basketball candidacy too. Sometimes in her situation, not playing 4A, but also being in Central Indiana, you got to have like those big 40-point double games, like the 44 points, 22 rebounds kind of game. It will always be qualified with who they play. So I do think that the staple to her Miss Basketball resume will always be how far she advances them in the postseason. Okay. But I think the one thing that Laniah has, and all of the kids in the 26 class have, is, she's in a situation, take like Gilliard is another good example, right? Like the spotlight isn't necessarily shared with anybody, whereas you have kids like Epps, who's the product of being around multiple Division I athletes in multiple different classes. You have Jocelyn Bricker, who's going to have another 1,400 point scorer playing in the backcourt next to her. So I do think that her Miss Basketball candidacy, I think, does probably need to have some really, really big individual performances. Mm-hmm. But she already has two of them. Like, the season just started, and she already has two. So
and the first one against the foreign opponent.
Absolutely right. That's absolutely right. But yeah, no, I mean, look, at the beginning of the year, every year, there's always 10 or so names that are tossed around about for Miss Basketball. She's one of the 10.
Yeah. And Lapel's schedule, just to punctuate things, they play at the Northeastern tournament too at the end of December. They play Delta, Floyd Central, Heritage Christian, South Knox, Northeastern, Borden, Connorsville. So Borden, South Knox, Floyd Central, Heritage Christian, and they're on top of Delta. I mean, there's some huge resume builders there, and that's coming off of a game against Eastern Hancock in the middle of December. Then they have a 2-week break. Guerin Catholic, that win, if they're able to beat Guerin Catholic, that could be one that appreciates in value. Hamilton Heights, like we mentioned. And then down the line, there's Pendleton Heights at the end of the year as well. Danny, looking back on it and thinking about it, we talked about Gibson Southern Bloomington South last Saturday with Soak, didn't we?
We did.
Okay.
And here's the thing. Look, Bloomington South they had a one possession loss to Pike in the semi-state last year. They return everybody. They add DeVries. Larry Winters is a friend of the program. Like, we're going to cover Bloomington South. Okay. But and not, but I mean, I'm just telling, like, I haven't screened them yet. Okay. So we can talk about Nunley Lash and we can talk about all those kids. Yes, they're great. But Center Grove is coming up. They're going to have
Warren Central's coming up. That's
I mean, you can run down the list. But I think their success, because of their postseason run last year, almost lessens the importance of what they do in the regular season. Like, they're going to be a very difficult out coming into the season on the south side of the state in the southern hemisphere. People talk about Pike, Lawrence Central, obvious, by the way.
I figure we're going to land the plane with them.
If we are, fine. Okay. But they're in that conversation of like 3 or 4 teams that can come out of the South. So I'll kind of leave it at that with Bloomington South, but I can't wait to see them live. They've got my buddy Chase Breen and Bedford North Lawrence next.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun one.
Another game, I'm not sure if you had a chance to watch it. I have not yet, and I also haven't had a chance to talk to Jason or Mike Armstrong about this one. Jason Simpson from Greensburg. Franklin with a great win over Greensburg, 62-56. Izzy Stillebauer, a kid comes through, drops a 30-piece on 10 of 14 shooting with 5 triples on 9 tries for Franklin. Brilliant performance from the sophomore. She also had a couple rebounds. You had Hannah Stewart with 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 8 rebounds for Addie King, 3 rebounds, 3 assists for Amelia Richter. Franklin was a team last year that was really banged up, fully healthy coming into this year. And Mike's a brilliant coach. So it kind of feels like a team that's ready to take that step forward, and it'll be interesting to see how that's quantified. But that's a really good win early in the season for a program that's trying to get back on that upward trend.
Yeah, and Greensburg puts their games behind. I sound so cheap because I said this in the last episode too. They put their games behind a paywall. Jason listens to the show. If he, I don't know if
he wants to give us
religiously, but you drop me a huddle invite, please, so I can save the $8.54 every time, please. But I think they got that win the week after Larrison splashed onto the scene with a 40 burger of her own, right? I think she had 40, maybe 38, but she had a really big point production game early in the season too. So I think both those teams, both Franklin and Greensburg, I think will be kind of fun follows.
Yeah. Speaking of Claire Larrison, and I meant to ask Laniah about this, but how about the job Ball State's doing on the recruiting trail? They have Claire Larrison from Greensburg, Kenzie Koch from Eastern Hancock, Lilli Barnes just signed her NLI yesterday from up in Valparaiso, Hannah Menser from Plainfield. Just piece after piece after piece. They keep building it up, and I'm forgetting another really obvious name, and it's killing me right now.
They also got the Butler transfer Carson Norman, who was a state champion.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Lawrence. So their
Brooke Winchester from Warsaw.
There it was. Their formula has been to recruit the state. Okay, in Indiana just doesn't, and that's okay. And Butler does and doesn't at the same time. It seems like Brady and Audrey and the staff up there at Ball State has just made a definitive call. I mean, they were the kids that they were recruiting that they didn't get too. They were a finalist for Bricker. They were a finalist for Gilliard. They were in the Molly Ernstis recruitment. I mean, that's, Butler, Kansas, Davidson. They're just recruiting the best players in the state. And so in 27, to anchor your 27 class right away with Hannah Menser and Kenzie Koch, I got a text from Michael Menser. I was like, Hannah can't wait to play with Kenzie Koch. These are 2 kids that have always been 2 of the better players in the class. They've never played AAU ball together. They've always played against each other. But now they get to play with each other. And, you hear things like that, like Laniah talking about getting to play with Addie Baxter and Jocelyn Bricker. I mean, these are kids who haven't been teammates also. So I do think it's really cool to see, particularly Ball State and Butler. And I think while we're talking about Indiana mid-majors, Purdue Fort Wayne beat the Boilermakers.
How about that?
The other night. So
Yeah.
I think we're starting to see that if you recruit Indiana players, you're going to be good, which is awesome for the seat that we sit in because we get to talk about them before they get there.
Absolutely is. And real quickly, staying with Ball State, shout out to Ashlyn Brooke, who made a return. Another knee injury derailed it. 630 days later, she's back at Worthen Arena, 6 points on 2 of 3 shooting from 3, couple steals and 18 minutes played. So love to see that. Ashlyn's a great kid, the Pioneer grad, Indiana All-Star. Just an awesome kid who's been through a lot in terms of injury. So it's awesome to see her back on the floor healthy and playing for Ball State. Danny, let me pull up the list of games here. We got a couple more to get to. Let's talk quickly. I'll let you have the floor on Floyd Central versus Charlestown, a game that sounds like it wasn't as close necessarily even as the final score may have indicated.
Yeah, it's a tough game to watch. Charlestown really wanted that one. They are kind of an under-the-radar team. They have some good pieces. They have Chesney Jackson. They've got, Lexi Fincham. They've got Maddie Warnock. I mean, they got good players, okay? Floyd's zone is the real deal, man. Like, they play their wings so wide that a lot of times when you have these matchup zones, like, you have to use the baseline. People have heard me say this on this podcast. When you have zones like that, you have to get behind it, right? You either have to get into the middle or you have to get behind it. Charlestown played in the middle of that zone, got the ball into the middle of the zone relatively effectively, playing through Jackson. They were ineffective in getting the ball behind the zone, and it just is impossible. Like when you just cut one of your legs off, or excuse me, when Floyd cuts one of your legs off, that zone really settles in, and they're so long, and they're so big, and they're so physical. My take home on Floyd Central after watching tonight's game was this. This is not a poetic offensive basketball team, that's going to metrically try to go out and get 65 points. Like Warsaw, for example. Like Warsaw said, I want to go out and get 65 points because when we score 65, you can't beat us, okay? Like, they held Charlestown with those players that I mentioned to 11 points in the first half. And if it wasn't for 3 Maddie Warnock threes late in that basketball game, they probably would have held them to single digits in the second half. They're impossible to score against, and anybody that plays Floyd Central is going to have to figure out how to deal with that zone. But sometimes you have the perfect personnel to fit a coach's system. And I say that as a coach because sometimes it just works. I just kind of feel like Hickey has the perfect personnel to run that Salem zone that he's running. And they're going to be just as difficult of an out as they were last year.
Good stuff. Zionsville, I said this and without looking up the score, Zionsville tonight pulls out a win 41-34 over Warren Central. That game was a bit of a rock fight based on the score, but Warren Central got ahead early. This is after Warren Central lost 61-47 to Decatur Central, a team that we'll be talking about more in depth here as we go along. I know Nick Carruthers is excited about some of the pieces he has coming back over there and some of the new pieces that he added in terms of incoming freshmen. So that'll be one to watch and one that we'll get to here down the line. Let's see, Danny, and then as I land the plane here, the team that I saved for last for good reason because they have a game coming up on Saturday against Hamilton Southeastern. That's Lawrence Central. I know that you have thoughts on the Bears and just what you've seen so far from that outfit.
They undressed Westfield last night, okay? Now, on one hand, that I think it's important to establish that statement with this. I really like Westfield this year, okay? They're experienced. They're old. They have good freshmen that they're bringing off the bench, like the Lillian Clark kid. And we'll have an opportunity to unpack Westfield, okay? Mm-hmm. I texted multiple people last night. I actually told somebody at the gym about an hour ago. I said the same thing, okay? The sample size is small. I don't want to go too crazy with this, okay? But I think this is the best Lawrence Central team in the last 3 years. They are so dynamic. They are so fun. Anaya McKenzie she is a completely different player than she was last year. And I mean that in a good way. She was an absolute weapon, okay? She'll shoot over 60% from the field this year because she just gets downhill and she gets layups. And when you sag, like now you have shooters around. Like they don't even have Ingram back. But I felt like, oh gosh, like I kind of felt like they weren't playing I felt like they were performing. If that makes sense. And some people will view that as like an insult. I don't mean it to be like the Showtime Lakers. Okay. Like, yes, I just compared Lawrence Central to the Showtime Lakers. Like, I just felt like the Showtime Lakers, which was the basketball team in the 80s that was playing when I was first falling in love with the game. Okay. I felt like that with Lawrence Central. Like it was Lola Lampley's awesome spin move. And then she would have like a no-look one-handed pass to Shellhammer, who would break somebody down 1v1. And then they would have nothing going. And then they would just get the reverse the ball to Kiki Butler, who would just get downhill and get to the paint. And like, it is, I think it's scary. Okay. And I don't know. I think I want to see Pike against Homestead. I want to see Lawrence Central against HSC. I want to see all of these things before I get too crazy with like predictions and all of that. But Lawrence Central is must-see stream at this point, okay? Pay the $8.54, get the stream, watch them. It's ridiculous how good they are.
Better yet, see them in person. You'll have 3 quality opportunities here coming up in town with HSC. Then they host Pendleton Heights, and then they play Fort Wayne Snyder at 3 p.m. next Saturday as part of the event that Keith Hollins put together at Pike. That's going to be an excellent game as well. That's a great lead in too, because you can go from Pike and the Snyder Lawrence Central game, then bounce over for the last 2 at Sneakers for Santa. So that'll be a phenomenal little triple header if one wants to go for that.
And I'm not saying, and let me add this, okay? If something like this, if Lawrence Central wins by 20 on Saturday, okay, and again, this is prognosticating it without seeing the basketball game and saying if that happens. So it very well might not happen. But I think it's going to say more about Lawrence Central than it is about Hamilton Southeastern. Like, I think that game is going to be like Lawrence Central's, like, I don't want to say coming out party, but I think that they're going to put everybody on notice on Saturday. I just think they're a load. And I think Satterfield and Holman and Stidham and that whole real experienced crew, I think they're going to have their hands full on Saturday. I really do.
That feels like a game where LC is going to come out with a bit of a chip on their shoulder after last year in the Hall of Fame Classic. So that's going to be
no doubt.
That's going to be a fascinating and fun one to watch. And LC is going to be a fun team to follow this year. I'm really looking forward to seeing them for the first time when that time comes. Any other teams or any other things, Danny, that you wanted to get to before we bounce on out of here?
No, I mean, just I want to watch these games and not. Oh, I watched Warsaw Northrop. I will say one sentence about that. Warsaw got 25 from Bricker. They got 25 from Zartman. That's I don't know if it's exactly. And then they got 10 from Huss. Okay, that is 60 points. I just said right now they failed to score 65 points twice last year. Once against Homestead, they lost. Once against Lawrence North at the state championship, and they lost. Okay, 65 is their number. If they're going to continue to get 60 from 3 players, they are the real deal good. But I don't know that anybody has a 3-game resume as good as Warsaw right now. They've beaten Northrop, they beat Snyder, and they beat Norwell. Those are their 3 wins. That is darn good. Yeah, that is darn good. So look out for them, and they look great. Trying to think if I had any other games that I saw. Nothing worth talking about, I don't believe.
Yeah, I'm looking through our notes right now. I think we hit everything on your list.
Brownsburg, Knox, Washington. Yeah.
Yeah, I went through my Twitter bookmarks and nothing. Jalen Bowling went off for Brebeuf and their win over Cathedral, 22 points, 10 rebounds. Nice win tonight for University over Tri-West. Sydney Culp, 19. Leia Norvell, 12 points, 11 rebounds. Gabby Culp, 10 points, 10 rebounds. It's a nice win for them. And yeah, Marquette Catholic, a 22-point, 13 rebound, double-double. Third double-double in as many games for Laniah Davis. Just casually put that out there. We talked about Washington, talked about Roncalli. I think that about checks all the boxes there, Danny. And I mean, if we missed anything, we're going to be back here probably on Sunday to talk about more.
So. Good midweek show. We got the whole weekend slate to go. So we got the Corden Central tournament. We have HSC, Lawrence Central. We have Homestead, Pike. There's a lot of good ones this weekend.
So many good ones. So we'll be back on Sunday with a guest show. I am off the next couple days.
But we will be back on Sunday. So if you don't see much from me other than retweets, that's why. It's because I'm off. So don't yell at me. Player of the Week nomination, if you want to send those in by Sunday evening, that would be greatly appreciated. And in the meantime, we thank you all so much for watching. Shout out to the people who stayed up with us here at 11 o'clock. Thank you again to Laniah Wills for joining us. For Danny Riego, I am Brian Haenchen. We thank you all so much for watching.